Hey guys, what is going on? It is Adrian Etchell back with another video. In today's video, we are going to be doing a technical breakdown of my squat, bench, and deadlift. Bench. Jeez, not my bench because I don't really bench anymore. But I'm going to be focusing in on my squat. So in particular, so in this whole entire program, I basically am making a whole uniform video where I will basically be going over how I progress from week to week and session to session. So I think in episode 3, maybe this episode will be uploaded at the end of the program. But yeah, today what you're going to be seeing me do is a working up to my top set. So today what had been doing is I've been ramping. So effectively in the past, I would ramp all the way up and work up to my top set. And what I found is that I would gas out by the time I got to my top set. And I found that if I just, kind of did a couple sets and warmed up and then got to my heaviest weight and then my top set and then backed off, I was finding more success there. But today I actually went with my former technique to kind of ramp up. I think as the program goes on, I will kind of play around with going back to that technique of going and using my heaviest weight, and then after I use my heaviest weight, going and using lighter weights with more amount of reps. And I find that's good, right? Like I find like with the heaviest weight, a lot of times I really want to be able to just move the weight from point A to B. And then with a lot of the back off weights and back off sets, that's a really good opportunity, quite frankly, to really focus in on the technique, focus in on the bar speed, focus in on making sure that the right muscles are being utilized in the exercise, right? Building up the right biomechanics and form correctly as you execute the lifts. So another thing too is also as I progress, starting to go more raw, right? Like I kind of want to be in the 400s where when I'm in the 400s, I can still go raw. I can still go raw now in the 400s, but like I want it to be more routine where it's like just have nothing on you. I think that is a goal that in the long run I kind of want to start aiming towards. Another thing too is, I'm able to hit depth pretty well when I am in the 400s, but for some odd reason, for me personally, the minute I kind of get in that 500 zone, I kind of freak out. I kind of get in my own head, and I think a lot of that just stems from, kind of failing. Yeah, right? So when I failed my squat on my PR day, there's something that's scary about lifting these weights, and it does kind of get in your own head. So, yeah, on to the next day. As you guys can see, that's kind of the form thing that I was talking about in terms of, not being able to hit depth and kind of having fear. I don't think it's a technique thing, right? I think, well, it is a technique thing, right? Because if you don't have a strong mind is a part of your technique. You have to really have the self-belief that you can lift those weights. And I was struggling with that, and you can kind of see that, right? Like I'm like, oh man, I'm not sure if I should go and hit depth. So that's definitely something that I need to work on. This is the next set. Here I really want to talk about, technique. So one of the things that you'll notice is that on my left side, it's very subtle, but there's a little bit of a hip shift. I want to see that kind of start to get, ironed out as the program goes on and progresses. I don't know. It's just something really subtle that maybe you guys might not notice, but I certainly feel. I think something that I've been doing is really, focusing in on driving through those heels and then sticking all the way through. Another thing too is in that clip right there, something that I want to emphasize is just like my ability to stay calm. So if you notice on the last rep, I actually stumbled. And that's because I fell off the platform of the squatting platform that I fell off of. But yeah, so staying calm is really, really important. This is going to be analyzing a deadlifting session or a deadlifting day. And here in the beginning, I'm actually just quite frankly talking about talking about using different grips to build up the strength of the deadlift. So yes, the deadlift, obviously, it's a very posterior chain dominant movement where all the way down to your calf and Achilles, all the way up to the nape of your neck, or really the traps, everything's being utilized. But what it's really important for some people when they deadlift is really to figure out your leverages and to figure out your grip strength. That's what I want to get to, is to figure out your grip strength, right? The leverage is important. We all know that. But what I've been doing is I play around with different grips to really, teach my body how to, get stronger in different positions. And that's something that I used to do a lot when I was younger. I got away from it a little bit in the road to 700, but it's something I, really have been utilizing a lot in this program. I've been utilizing a lot of different hand placements and positionings while I'm warming up to kind of, teach my body different grip strengths as I progress. So there's obviously double overhand, there's the switch grip, which a lot of people feel strong with that interlock, and then there's obviously hook grip. Hook grip, a lot of people will do it on the top set because hook grip just absolutely murders your hands. I don't use hook grip a lot, but I do try to utilize hook grip when I can. So here we are, deadlifting. I can't remember what the amount of weight is. It's really not that important. But what you guys will notice is I am a little hyped up there, but I am working all the way up to my heaviest weight. So I'm not really, doing a lot of reps. I'm just trying to get to my heaviest weight, and then from there afterwards, you can kind of get a lot of work done, and see a lot of progress. So something about this day in particular, as we're analyzing this training session, is that I actually do remember I read my program incorrectly, and I just remember being like, oh man, I got to go back and hit some more weight. So it's funny, as I was telling you guys, I built up, I was doing ramping, and now I would just kind of do my heaviest weight, and then once I get to my heaviest weight, back off. On this day, I made it all the way up to my heaviest weight, and then read the program incorrectly, went down to my practically my lightest weight for the day, and then I looked at the program and I was like, oh snap, I missed this middle portion. So then I had to go all the way back up in weight, which was really funny, and that's something just straight up I've never done. But yeah, here you guys see me deadlifting. One of the things I really want to emphasize is, pushing through your heels, like really snapping your lats in and then driving through your heels. So something that I noticed with my deadlift is that I'm not getting low enough. I need to really sink my hips in lower, and I need to avoid what we call squatting the deadlift, right? So I don't want to squat the deadlift. I want to get my hips really, really low, right? And then from there, I want to press off of the ground and create that leverage. So I need to snap my hips a little bit lower. And that is one of the key techniques to figuring out your leverages, right? Everybody's body is different too. So it's not like I can quite frankly give advice for every single person. I'm kind of analyzing my technique, and, hopefully there are some, tricks and tips and pointers that you guys can all steal so that you guys can climb the top of your own mountains as well. I have no idea what I'm talking about right here. That is why this episode is called Yapping, right? So all these episodes are on the channel. You guys can go and find them and watch them, and I really do hope they are all a tool for you guys to climb the top of your own mountains. I know not everybody's really into powerlifting and lifting heavy weights, but if you get stronger and you consistently improve at lifting and improve at the movements and getting stronger over time, you're gonna grow, right? So I think we all want muscle here. So that is the name of the game. And I actually can tell as I'm watching what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about right now is also the ability to focus on your breathing, right? It's a weird concept to think about when you deadlift, because you don't always hear people talk about breathing and bracing while deadlifting, or really breathing while doing any pulling movements. It's a very rare thing to hear people talk about. You hear people talk about your ability to breathe when you are, doing things like the overhead press, like breathing when the weight is over your head because that's the most biomechanically advantageous position to breathe in. Or you might hear people talk about breathing and bracing when they squat, but not really when you deadlift, right? So the same thing and the same principle does apply when you deadlift, and you being able to utilize your breathing is really going to help you perform well in the long run. And another thing that I've really found with breathing that's really helpful is in particular for the squat, right? So I know right now there's not a squat on the screen, but I just kind of want to talk about that because I have found it to be helpful. And that is, I've found that when I focus more on my breathing, it helps me like lower my anxiety because to be honest with you, lifting these weights can get very nerve-wracking, right? Like, knock on wood, cross my fingers, but these are crippling weights, right? Like, even I know the fitness industry now, like 400, 500 pounds isn't that impressive anymore. Like, but these at the end of the day are crippling weights. And it can be nerve-wracking. I mean, for me personally, I get really nervous when I'm lifting these weights, but I find that when I focus in on my breathing and bracing, and I focus in on, doing that, it takes my attention away from the actual lift and my anxiety kind of goes away, which is kind of, I don't know, like it's something that I've always thought about, and it's really weird to articulate out loud right now, but it is really helpful. So I'm doing another set of deadlifts. And on this set, I really do want to focus in on at my last rep, just holding the weight at the top for as long as I can. I have no idea how much weight that is, but I just want to focus in on holding my weight at the top. So that is pretty much it for the training session. Really I'm going to shut up.
I think in the long run, but one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm staying at the same weight, but I'm focusing in more on the form. So if someone wanted to walk by on this deficit deadlift that I'm doing, because it's a weird deficit deadlift. It's not like where I'm on plates, the actual weight is on the plate in and of itself, and then I'm pulling from there. So it's kind of like a block pull, I guess. Yeah, more of a block pull. But I'm just focusing in more on like the form and the technique and making sure I'm driving and I'm being explosive through all my reps. And yeah, the weight doesn't go up, but it's a small win. And I think it's those small little wins that add up over time. So the weight didn't go up, but the form did. And I think that's something that I want to emphasize to you guys is like, just because we always think about progressive overload, but sometimes it's like progressive form is the key to success. So just staying at the same weight from weeks and weeks and weeks on end. And then it's almost like you're in a symphony with that weight. It's like a dance. If someone were to walk by, it looks like it's perfect form. So that's what I'm really going for here right now with my assistance reps. But yeah, I won't film that, but I do want to talk about that. And then other than that, yeah, I'm trying to increase the other exercises, add a little bit more weight. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, guys, so let me lower that. We are doing another technique video day. Want to talk about, going raw right here. So as I emphasize, like I really have been emphasizing trying to go more raw. I even want to get to the point where the straps are coming off too, right? Like I don't want the straps on either. As I build up though, going to start putting on more equipment, making sure that my body is safe. But in the long run, yeah, I definitely want to, start really leaning more towards that guy who's just not using, that much equipment, because it's not even like an ego thing. It's actually one of the ways you get better at lifting is going raw, like making sure you're having no assistance. So that's something else that I track in my program and my programming is like, I will write down like, hey, was I equipped? Was I unequipped? And I love the depth on that first one. I don't like how the bar placement is a little bit more leaning towards my right side, because that is going to emphasize my hip shift that I need to fix. And guys, I kind of filmed these a little bit later, so down the road, my hip shift did become more and more prominent as I went further on in my program. And do I think it was because I was squatting on a metal plate? Maybe. Do I think it was because I was squatting on smaller plates and I just didn't invest in squat shoes? Maybe. All of it could be true. But I definitely know a huge piece of it is a huge piece of it for sure, if I'm being honest, is like my placement, right? In terms of my hips. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is like my stance towards the end, it kind of got narrowed. Today's not a good day and good example of it, but as I got further on, my stance definitely got a lot more narrow. And when you're in such a narrow stance with 500, 600 pounds, and you're 190 pounds, you're gonna kind of get cracked. Like a part of your body is gonna start to hurt. And also another, I'm harping on myself, but another thing too, guys, like always remember the human body is not designed to kind of lift these weights. Like that's just the reality of it. So like you're gonna kind of like be hurting sometimes. Also, I do want to mention that last squat. If you watch, if you notice, I was very uneven. That was a result of the plate. It's actually, to also emphasize one thing, it's not necessarily the plate. I need to emphasize this. It's actually the floor of the gym is a little uneven. I talked about this with another powerlifter at our gym, and he was like, yeah, my hips sometimes hurt when I squat here, but it's not like so much to the point where it's like an excuse. It's like, shut up and lift, bro. But like, yeah, we also have all talked about it, and we're like, damn. So here, guys, again, you're seeing me struggle hitting depth. It's just been something I've been struggling with like the whole entire program, getting depth. And I don't know what it is. It's really that fight or flight thing. When you guys, when you hit that flight button, like you're setting yourself up for a long couple weeks or a long while till you get that mental state to where it's like, no, we're not flight, we're fight, and that's something that I've been struggling with. I think I talked about it in another episode. So guys, as I said, I filmed these later down the road. But yeah, like one of the things too that I think helped me like with my fight or flight thing is I just kept telling myself like, what's the point of, eating all this food, sleeping correctly, writing down all your weights if when you get in the squat rack, you're just not going to believe in yourself. There's no point. Like, you might as well just, like, sit at home, right? Like, if you're going to do all that work, you might as well believe in yourself. All that work outside of the gym, the bare minimum you can do is have unwavering confidence that you're capable of doing it, right? And I feel like that's just something I learned from sports, right? Like, you have to have the belief in your work ethic, and you have to have, and if you don't have the belief in it, it also is an element of it has to be like, okay, if I don't have the belief in it, that means like there are holes in my game that I need to step up. And that was something that, I kind of told myself further down, further down the road as I progress in the programming is like, bro, like you have to have the faith in the work that you're putting in. So I don't know, that might not be a technique thing, but maybe just like a little good mindset thing that I thought about and, I think could be helpful for other people who are out there lifting. So yeah, I really like, how I'm pausing here. So if you guys notice, I'm giving that split second pause. Sometimes I do things like that when the weight's lower, kind of like that symphony. Like I said earlier in this video, it's like, kind of rocking with the weight, like owning the weight, really being able to control the weight through its full range of motion to the point where, someone walks by and they see it and they're like, like this guy really has that weight under control. Now, obviously, as you go up and up and up, it just becomes harder, right? And it's just like, there's only so much you can do at a body weight. But, yeah, I don't know what else really in the video, but thank you guys if you made it this far to watching. There will be another episode of a yapping series or a yapping session where I'm just talking more about lifting. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. And as always, I will see you boys at the top. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really share the video with any other aspiring lifters to go help them on their fitness journeys. We're all in it together, and yeah, I always say that, but I really do hope you guys all reach the top of your own mountains of your own journey. So peace out.